I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I guess it's been the first time we talked to you since camp started. Just a couple weeks into camp, you're new. A lot of the guys in your position room are new. Just kind of how you feel about how they progressed through these first days, 11 or 12 practice.
I'm feeling it's getting better each and every day. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but if we can just continue to take small steps to get what we need to be accomplished. So, thus far, I'm pretty happy with what we're doing and confident. So it's just we still have a long way to go. It's a long process, but I'm pleased because these guys work. They go out there and they try to do what you ask them to do.
Omar Cooper Omar Cooper was kind of one of the guys that didn't get here in the summer, but obviously had a really good high school career up in Indianapolis and Virginia. I think he's a very explosive player as
Mhm.
he stretched the field. I guess how have you seen him, especially through the progress of camp? And I know young guys can hit a little bit of the wall sometimes. How have you seen him just basically kind of process and improve, especially maybe in these last 2 years?
He's uh he's progressed well. At first, again, I got here and he was a guy that was signed here. So just getting to know him, and he has a good football IQ, better than what I thought. I didn't really know. But as far as picking up the offense and doing what we're doing, I'm very pleased where he's at this point. And now one time I told him, it was probably after 5 practices, I was like, "You're doing a good job." And then that day he didn't practice so well, so I said, "I'm gonna stop telling you you're doing a good job." But he has a tremendous upside, and he's a guy who listens. He takes notes. And again, this is a transfer and playing receiver, and just the details of it of being a trained receiver. So for him, he has a large upside, but I like his football IQ.
Heard a couple of quarterbacks talking a lot about Cam Camper the other day. What's impressed you about him? Also, just hear that he's a guy that just shows up and leads. I guess you would say athletes and whatnot. What impresses you about him? I guess just how sort of I guess obsessed is he picking up the offense and picking up the position.
He's the one we call Coach Cam, so he's always around the offices, always trying to learn the offense and all the intricate details. So he's a guy who doesn't say much. He just show up and go to work. He works hard. He practice. He doesn't say much. If he has questions, he'll ask. But he's like a coach. Like we call him Coach Cam. Like at some point in time, he's going to come through the door and say what's going on. So I'm very pleased. He made a great catch in one-on-ones the other day, 2 days ago, a one-hand catch. So he's a guy that's progressing and continually getting better. So he had a couple of good blocks today in practice also, sticking, his face in there and then blocking with his hands and being violent. So he's kind of the guy that can go and play receiver, but also he's a good blocker also.
Yeah, hey coach, how hard is it for someone to do what Donovan is trying to do at this level of football, and how is he coming along, and kind of just talk about his progression and what you think he can do as a first year receiver?
I'm pleased where he's at. Again, it's all new for him and transitioning to the receiver play because you learn, you know, you're not just dropping back like you're running and you're running. So the thing is, as a receiver, you have to run and then you got to run some more. And then you run some more. And when you're tired, you got to run and run some more. And then when you think you're tired, you got to keep running. So it's one of those things you have to keep doing over and over, and you have to train yourself for it. So for him, he's a big body. He's very athletic. He has a good catching radius where you can put it up and really go and get it. But it's just, the little details that he's learning. He knows the conceptual thought process of the routes and what to do, but it's the little things in getting open. You can't always use your body because you're bigger than everyone to get open. And at times you have to beat them with your feet instead of your body. And so for him, he's progressing steadily and he'll ask questions. And for him, he has a tremendous ceiling also. I mean, with a body like that, like he can make plays.
Coach, on Friday, I think Jack Tuttle was talking just about the mentality and work ethic of Emery Simmons. What have you seen kind of from a work ethic standpoint from him and just kind of his progression this year?
Yeah, he's a bring your lunch pail, go to work, blue collar, just you work. He doesn't say much. I mean, he's just gonna run, hit his spots, do what he's supposed to do. He's gonna block his guy, and he is, he studies. He knows what everyone's doing on the field, and so for him, I love his mentality and what he brings, the grit, and the toughness to the group. So I'm very pleased with them also. But again, we have a long way to go. It's a lot of different guys where they work hard, they do what they're asked. The next stage is just kind of take it above the X's and O's, meaning that I understand that, but there's some things for us being player led or receiver led that you play above the X's and O's. The lines and the routes for as the conceptual thought process. We just need to make those things come to life a little bit more. Just because you run this crossing route, but there's a way to get open and make it come alive. And so for him, he's taking that step and making those lines come to life.
Coach, getting back to Donovan McCulley, what advantage does it have having a guy like that, one of the highest rated quarterbacks come here in the receiving room? What advantages does it have? Is it to have been a quarterback to have played that position, and now being on the other end of that? What did he use that for?
For is the football IQ of it, and for is the conceptual thought process where you can move him around and things of that nature. So not to harp on a lot of things, but when at LSU when I had Jarvis and Odell, they played multiple positions. So when you're able to play multiple positions, so coming from the NFL, like you only have 5 up or 6 up within the course of a game. If somebody gets hurt, then it's the next man up. And so it's a next man mentality. So for him and being a quarterback, understanding the offense, understanding where everybody is, he's a guy that can play multiple positions and move around. So if something goes up, you're bringing up the better receiver, not the next guy.
Coach, I'm kind of curious just about how that conversation went this summer with Donovan about that transition. I understand that it was a decision he made.
Yes.
How were you approached about that? What did he say to you guys? And just kind of how was the decision made in the room? Kind of what potential do you see him having down the road?
It was one of those things where he came to us and he talked to Coach Bell and he wanted to make that transition. And so realistically, a lot of times players will see certain things where they can come in immediately and make an immediate impact, or there's a larger ceiling. There's some room for a lot of growth. And so for him, he's a guy that's maturity, right? Because some guys want to do certain things and say, well, I'm this, I'm that. And for him, just digging within himself, he said, this is where I want to be. And for him, that's going to help him because, again, when you're somewhere where you want to be, not to say that quarterback wasn't, but to help the team, then also the upside of him playing receiver, that's tremendous.
Coach, back to Cam Camper, I'm curious in your coaching experience if you've ever had any players like that who you turn around, they're just there, or any other players you've called coach that kind of fill that role?
Yeah, I've had those, and those are the special ones, right? Because, the guys that just do what they're told, they're good players, and there's guys that work when they're not told to do. And he's one of those guys that you see that, So when I was at LSU, we always had guys in the building because they just loved it. Coach, I just want a football. I just want to go to the next level. What do I have to do? And he's one of those guys. Like, I turned around in the office, he was in there, and he was asking me a question. I was like, I thought you left out. He's like, no, I'm still here. He said, can we watch film? I'm like, yeah, we can watch film. Like, he's just, so for that guy, he gives himself a chance, right? So when you go to the next level, all right, or within this offense, when someone goes down, like you can just fill a role because you understand. So you create value. When you have value, then you create space for yourself, right? And so you'll always make a place. It doesn't matter if you're coaching or you're playing, you're teaching, you bring value.
Coach, I remember in the spring you talked about how your experience at McNeese State, a lot of the receivers you had were guys that had never really been receivers or a lot of quarterbacks and running backs. How do you think that experience for you as a coach has kind of helped you as you try to maybe sculpt Donovan from a quarterback into a receiver?
It's tremendous. You go back, and that went from '97 to '07. So it was a lot of years. 10 years of just coaching, receivers and redefining and creating that position and allowing those guys to, grow from playing different, quarterback and, little running backs. And, so for me to go back to that is really, really refreshing because now I can really mold these guys. And also, even if coming from high school and you playing receiver, there's also a lot of, upside for us, the details. And, it's not just, again, running lines, but also understanding how to get open, right? So you could run the right route or do the certain thing, and is that a plus? Yes, but did you get open, right? And so there's a way of body language as far as things of leverage and understanding leverage, or what is the defense trying to do to you, and what can you take? Why, I was explaining to them on the field. Most of the guys I've coached have become coaches. So, and that's the level of teaching, because the highest form of learning is when you can teach someone how to do it, but then they can turn around and teach someone else how to do it. So there's certain concepts, there's certain plays. When we see the defense, we should know where the ball should go. And so I have to do my job at a high level. I may not get the ball, but again, that may be for the love of the game route where you're not getting it, but you got to blow the top off because I have to get my buddy open. So just understanding those things and executing those things. And so it's really been good for me to be back in that room in my element.
Coming back, Dom, you talked about some things that make him distinct as a quarterback and some of the understanding he has moving from that position to wide receiver. Thinking back to when you first made the switch, what were maybe two or three things you identified in him early as sort of saying, these are sort of core fundamentals that we've got to get polished with you, or you've got to get better at between now and fall camp now and the first game, that kind of thing, and kind of where is he on that journey?
The biggest thing is doing a lot of cone drills, of keeping your shoulders over your toes, being in a good fit position, not standing up because you're not in a power position. But also, it's not the fact that you can run a route, but how fast you can get in and out of breaks. So doing a lot of cone drills, change of direction drills, things of that nature where you can stick your foot in the ground and change direction to get open. And for him, he has a big body, right? And so not all the time he can run, but a lot of times he's going to win with his body. So if he can put his body in certain positions, big throwing to big is always open. So a quarterback loves to throw to a big guy, right? So in that element, so he has an upside on that because he's always looked like he's open. But the details of getting in and out of breaks is going to help him create more separation for himself.
Hey, Coach, kind of a question about what you look for in receivers. Obviously, your room is pretty much built when you got here. You got a lot of 6'1" to 6'4", 6'5" guys. Only a couple smaller in Cameron and DJ. For you, besides the obvious, speed, explosive hands, I mean, are smaller guys okay for you? Or do you look for a certain body type, or are you just looking for the best guy out there?
Well, you just look for playmakers, guys that show up on film that are making plays. And it may be limited reps or it may be a lot of reps. But what are you doing with those quality reps? I look for speed, explosion, the change of direction, but also a catching radius. Is this guy, you can throw it around him, can he contort his body and make different catches, for his being athletic. Size, to me, there's different type of receivers, so everybody's not classified as that 6 foot. So you need all kind of receivers, right? The little short ones that can run that are magic in a bottle, or the big ones, that can get open and you can use in, for his fade routes in the goal line. So for me, it's just at the time, what do we need as an offense, conceptual. So, and if a guy can play, can he play inside or outside to help us if we need help, and, with injuries, things of that nature. So, being in, was that 2017 at the Giants? I coached 22 guys in 1 year because we had so many injuries, right? In one game, we playing the Chargers, 4 guys go down, and they're done. 3 are seized. Odell broke his ankle. Brandon Marshall broke his ankle, right? And then they were done. Sterling Shepard injured his ankle, and he was out for like 8 weeks. And our punt returner, who was also playing receiver, he broke his 5th metatarsal bone in his foot. So, so I'm used to that. So it's the next man up mentality. So we're going to need all guys. And so for me to really see the room and put them in spots and be a good coach, putting them where, they're more valuable at. All right. Thank you.